When a niche is really boring, we tend to think that the business built on top of the niche is going to fail. When everybody thought emails are dead, Sam Parr built the 8-figure media company and proved it wrong. And here's his journey from scratch to building the hustle. Sam was a college student who had built a hot dog stand chain around Nashville. During that course of time, he realized that building a business in the internet is way more easier than building one in a physical environment. After college, he had an incredible opportunity for working with Air Bed and Breakfast, aka Airbnb. But he got rejected at the last moment. Then he decided to stay in San Francisco, where he would go on to meet a website designer called John Havel. And they worked on a roommate matchmaking app called Bunk SF, and it was finally acquired by Apartment List. He agreed to a 66-day contract and worked there. During that time, he started a book club called the Anti-MBA as an hobby, where he would host a lot of meetings according to the books he read that week, and started networking with other great people and other founders and asked them to hop onto his weekly meetings. He treated it as a personal blog and had some considerable amount of audience listening to him. After the end of the 366-day contract, he went back to LA and met two other founders, Eric Bahn and Elizabeth Yin, who had already founded the company called HustleCon. This company hosts a one-day conference for aspiring entrepreneurs and gives tactical advice on starting a new venture. They already had 300 people in their email list, but needed help on bringing more people to their conference. So Sam decided to join and help them, but he had to convince a lot of people to join the conference in just 6 weeks. Initially, he got some speakers and sponsors through the book club, the Anti-MBA, and started writing blogs and newsletters every week about the speakers who are visiting the conference. He turned that into a blog post and started posting on platforms like Hacker News and Reddit. At first, he had 500 people visiting his website and signing up with their email. Again, he would email all of these people to share the blog post or join the HustleCon conference. Through the word of mouth and the initial audience he built in his book club, he had around 3,000 people visiting his website. After hosting a lot of conference, he wasn't satisfied with the business model. The revenue and results comes just before the conference. In the They Got Acquired podcast, Sam describes running a conference business is like running a marathon, as the person shouldn't give up till the last moment and keep running for a longer time. But towards the end, it feels so fun and accomplished that the person wants to go back and try it again. In longer term, that's not going to be sustainable. So he decided to take a step back and start pondering on what would work well. After a point, he noticed that he derived most traffic through the email newsletter and the blog post he wrote. For some reason, people loved his writing style and wanted more content from his newsletter. So he decided to start The Hustle, a newsletter-based company by site. But however, the first version of it wasn't a daily business and tech newsletter like it is today. A lot of what he wrote was opinion-based and real-life based stories. Sam wanted to build this email list from scratch through the strategy that got him thousands of email signups in HustleCon. His total focus was on Reddit. Reddit was getting popular and a lot of people were using it. Starting out from just $12 in his kitchen, he wrote his first article, which was about the founder of Pandora, Tim Westergren, who had convinced his employees to work without a paycheck for 2 years when the company ran out of money. And another on a man who made $50,000 a month selling plagiarized books about pickup artistry on Amazon. These blog posts went viral and caught a lot of audience. Sam was really good at captivating attention of audience in the headline. Surprisingly, he carved out of his niche and started writing real-life stories like a blog post on living entirely on Soylent for 30 days, or one of his alt characters, Steve Garcia, who went through LSD to treat his depression. He had a lot of alt characters inside himself and wrote blogs based on what that alt character would think of an X or Y situation. He wrote 10 articles a week, and every week he at least had one crazy story which would go viral. He would also write about business strategies by site, like the article How Much Does It Cost to Build an App? Doing this over and over again, his email list compounded to 80,000 subscribers. But there was one downside. He became really exhausted. After a point, it became really stressful to find out which content will hit the audience and go viral, and it didn't have a proper business model. So Sam was confused and he started trying out new things and read a lot of books. One such book he came across spoke about Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, a 24-hour cable news channel that we've all heard of. And he also came across another media company called The Skim, which brought in Daily Skim, a daily email newsletter which focuses on a short, simple, and easy to read version of the news and was marketed to urban women aged 22 to 34. These things played a key role in inspiring him to rebrand The Hustle, a daily newsletter which speaks about business and tech news in San Francisco. Sam saw an incredible opportunity on building his new space where people could find news entertaining with Sam's writing style. Apart from that, Sam's prediction about the daily newsletter business in 2020 was that people will pay more for truth because there are several different versions of the same news in CNN, Fox, Huffington Post, and New York Times, and so on. Sam was really bullish on making impact through bringing truthful information in his platform. In the first year, his newsletter had hit 100,000 new subscribers, and one of the key strategies he used was the ambassador program, where readers are invited to become ambassadors who share their contacts to help the Hustle market its newsletter and conference. In return, they would get a hoodie or conference ticket, which was valued at $250 to $400 depending on how many people they get on board to the Hustle Con. And in the second year, the email list cracked to 500,000 subscribers. After that, the Hustle team slowly started developing something called Trends, and this played an important role in building a good business model to Hustle. Trends wasn't just a premium newsletter. It also served as a platform where subscribers can engage with other founders and people in their community. This became a huge hit and had more than thousands of people subscribing to it. But the interesting thing was, getting into Trends costs a person $299 a year, which is a lot compared to other newsletters, but actually pricing it high had contributed to its growth. Looking at Sam's writing and his conferences throughout these years, people thought it would be worth to subscribe to his content. They positioned Trends as the Netflix for entrepreneurs. Sam employed a team of analysts, researchers, and journalists who dig deep into emerging markets to uncover patterns and actionable insights that have previously been overlooked. He and his team developed Trends to occupy a unique space at the media spectrum. The established global analyst firms offer extensive research in the form of quarterly or annual reports, but these are often out of reach for aspiring entrepreneurs, hidden behind expensive subscriptions. Trends wants to provide all of that in a single platform. Hustle did have its own competitors, and one of them was Morning Brew. In fact, they were also doing a daily newsletter and also had their own premium newsletter model called Light Roast, which was totally referral based. But Trends stood out from the crowd through the community engagement feature. Hustle also started the so-called famous podcast The First Million, in which Shant Puri and Sam Parr talks about business ideas and about how people made their first million, and this podcast has more than 10 million listeners. The Hustle passed 1 million subscribers on October 9, 2018. And lastly, HubSpot, one of the biggest CRM company, acquired The Hustle and valued the company at $27 million. That's it for today. And if you like this content, consider subscribing to my YouTube and follow me on Twitter for more.